I think by the time that I had optioned it, it probably sold close to 1 million copies. This was 2019, so pre-pandemic, Colleen Hoover as, the queen of booktok and what she's become. But what I did know is that the fans of the book in 2019, when I optioned it, were passionate, and this book meant something to them. And there were so many real life Lily Blooms who had read this book and changed their situation. And I wanted to honor those fans and the people that have experienced what Lily experiences in this movie.
Oh my God, you guys, grab your popcorn because this is absolutely wild. I mean, I'm still trying to process this one because Justin Baldoni just got smacked with a legal curveball no one saw coming. The $400 million 0 cents lawsuit he filed. Yeah, the judge basically just threw it in the trash, and you better believe Blake Lively is celebrating. Hey besties, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball, and oh boy, I've got some scorching hot tea for you today. So, fair warning, it left a bitter aftertaste for anyone rooting for justice. I don't agree with the ruling, not even close. But here's exactly what went down. So Judge Louis Layman, sitting pretty in New York, made a bombshell decision. He granted motions to dismiss for almost everyone Justin accused. That includes Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, PR queen Leslie Sloan, and even the New York Times. Yep, all of them. Only 2 claims were spared from the legal massacre, and even those were barely breathing. The claims are 1, tortious interference with Baldoni's contract with WME, and 2, breach of implied contract between Blake and Wayfair for the film. That's it. Everything else, gone. Dismissed. Obliterated. Let's break this down because honestly, it's shocking and kind of disgusting. Judge Lehman didn't care about the context of the damning evidence in Lively's complaint. He didn't care where those text messages came from. He didn't care whether or not they were legit or how they were obtained illegally or otherwise. He just took Blake's complaint at face value and ruled accordingly. I mean, hello? He literally admitted that Lively's threats, yelling, intimidation, and erratic demands weren't extortion. No, they were hard bargaining. Hard bargaining? Blake Lively demanded creative control over a film she wasn't even contractually bound to. She allegedly threatened to bail on promotion, skip the premiere, demanded co-funding for her own film cut, and wanted a damn producer credit, and somehow none of that counts as wrongful conduct? Make it make sense, but let's keep going because this rabbit hole is deep. Wayfarer and Baldoni had claimed civil extortion. They said Lively refused to come back unless her list of outrageous demands was met. But the judge said, nah. Why? Because Wayfarer didn't actually give in to those threats. They didn't hand over any money. They didn't accept blame. So since Blake didn't technically gain anything, it doesn't count as extortion. Seriously? Even the judge low-key admitted that Blake's behavior was disruptive, but he chalked it up to tough negotiations. Excuse me, what world are we living in where threatening to derail an entire film is just part of the job? And then there's the whole defamation bombshell. The Wayfarer parties claimed that Reynolds, Sloan, and the New York Times slandered Baldoni, accusing him of being a predator and masterminding a smear campaign. But the judge shot that down too. Why? Because apparently none of them acted with actual malice. The Times? The judge said they just interpreted the situation. They might have gotten things wrong, sure, but they didn't mean any harm. They were just reporting. And Ryan Reynolds? He believed what he was saying, so it's all good. Blake Lively, and she got a full pass because her complaint was filed in a CRD proceeding, which the judge says is legally protected. So even if she dropped an atomic bomb of allegations, it doesn't matter. She's covered. Now, let's talk about those missing contracts, because that part is juicy. Turns out the court didn't even have Blake's contract. Why? Because she allegedly never signed one. And because of that, all her threats about boycotting, hijacking the cut of the film, demanding power were technically legal. No contract equals no obligation. No obligation equals she can do whatever the hell she wants. So let me get this straight. You can jump on a film, throw tantrums, hijack production, demand ridiculous terms, and completely disrupt everyone. And as long as you didn't sign a piece of paper, you're in the clear. You guys, that's dangerous. The judge literally told Baldoni's team, you should have sued her for breach of contract. You should have fought back then. But now, too late, too bad. Cry into your camera lens. The extortion claim, out. The defamation claim, out. The smear campaign narrative, not provable. The court says Wayfair failed to show Lively's actions actually hurt them financially. One of their main arguments was that they had to hire an extra producer because of her antics. But the court said that didn't benefit Blake directly, so again, no dice. Like, hello, what does she have to do to be held accountable? Throw someone off set? Even more wild, the judge blamed Baldoni and his team for not fighting back harder, for not submitting certain contracts, for not including essential evidence. He said Blake's bad behavior didn't count as illegal because the Wayfair team didn't prove how it damaged them directly, and Blake, she didn't gain anything substantial from it all. So that's the loophole. Yup. It all comes down to how they framed their case. The judge said their pleadings were defective. He didn't say it was all lies. He said it was incomplete. That's important because that means this entire thing didn't fall apart because it was false, but because it wasn't pled properly. Let's be real. Blake may have gotten away with this one legally, but morally, spiritually, publicly, the streets are watching. And yet, here's the worst part. The judge gave Blake and her squad the green light to go scorched earth. In a statement to Variety, Blake's camp said this is a total victory and complete vindication. They even called Justin's $400 million 0 cents lawsuit a sham. Okay, and let's not forget, Blake, Ryan, and their team are already talking about coming after Baldoni now, seeking attorney's fees. But if damages, triple damages, they're turning the tables and going on the offensive. Like, really? It's savage, it's cold, and it's Hollywood. Now, Judge Lehman did allow Baldoni's team until June 25th to amend those two specific claims, the interference with his WME contract and the breach of implied contract with Blake regarding the film. That's the only chance they've got to salvage something. But they need to bring receipts. They need to bring contracts. They need to show actual damages. And let me tell you, if they screw that up too, it's over. The judge also made it crystal clear he didn't consider the anti-SLPP law, did factor in Section 47.1 of the California Civil Code, and didn't make any final ruling on whether Blake's statements were privileged under that law. So that means technically some doors are still slightly open. But don't get too excited because this judge was brutal. He saw through everything and still said, nope, not good enough. And unless Baldoni's legal team delivers a legal miracle, this case is hanging by a thread. And what about those scandalous text messages that mysteriously ended up in Blake's amended complaint? The ones allegedly from Jen Abel's phone? We still don't know how she got them. That subpoena, totally questionable. But since Baldoni's team didn't make that the focus of the argument, the judge barely touched it. They could go after that in an amended complaint, maybe even spin it into an abuse of process claim, but that would be starting from scratch again. And honestly, do they even have the stamina for another round of this legal nightmare? Meanwhile, Blake's camp is doing victory laps. They've got the headlines, they've got the sound bites, and now they've got the upper hand. And Justin, he's MIA. His team hasn't released a statement, no press, no post, no nothing. They're probably regrouping, trying to figure out if they can appeal or if they should just crawl away and cut their losses. But let me tell you, this isn't over. So let's talk about what could come next. And honey, it's messy. The judge basically hinted that Justin Baldoni's team still has one tiny window open. If they can bring actual contracts to the table, like real documentation between Baldoni and WME and some sort of proof of an implied agreement between Blake and Wayfarer, they might be able to push those two remaining claims forward. But that's if. And that's a massive if. Because right now, there's no signed contract from Blake. Nothing. And that, my friends, is where she pulled the ultimate Hollywood power move. No contract means no legal duty. No legal duty means all those diva antics, storming off set, threatening boycotts, demanding edits and producer credits were technically not illegal. Manipulative? Yes. Hostile? Absolutely. But unlawful? Apparently not. And that's what gave her the escape route. That's what Judge Lehman grabbed onto like a life raft. Blake's legal team must have been cackling when they realized they didn't even need to defend her actions, just highlight the missing paper trail. Now, let's zoom in on Ryan Reynolds and Leslie Sloan because, girl, they were also neck deep in this scandal, and they walked away without a scratch. Wayfarer accused them of actively spreading lies about Baldoni, labeling him a sexual predator, accusing him of harassment, huge claims. But the judge, he said Ryan believed what he said, and belief, unless proven to be knowingly false and malicious, is not defamation. Seriously? That standard is so high because Baldoni's a public figure. He has to prove they acted with actual malice, and the judge just wasn't convinced. He said Ryan had reason to believe it was true. So no defamation, no liability. And once again, the scales tip in favor of the rich, beautiful, and well-connected. But here's the kicker. The New York Times, also off the hook. According to the judge, they were just doing their job, reporting what they believed was a real story. The idea that they exaggerated or sensationalized it for clicks, not malicious, just journalism. Even when they quoted Blake's complaint and turned it into headlines that arguably ruined Baldoni's reputation, guess what? Still protected. The court said there was no obvious additional source that would have made them doubt what they were reporting. So it's okay for the media to paint you as a monster as long as they got it from a protected document. And you guys, here's the heartbreaking part. Wayfarer didn't even get to defend their side in full. The judge said the Times gave them an opportunity to respond, but we all know how limited that was. So let me get this straight. Blake got to make her claims under CRD protection. Her team fed it to the press. Ryan and Leslie chimed in. Baldoni got dragged through hell, and because none of them technically lied with proven malice, it all stands. You know, the ones Blake included in her complaint, allegedly pulled from someone else's phone. Where's the outrage over how she got them? Did her team illegally subpoena them? Was there any abuse of legal process? We don't know, because Judge Lehman didn't care. He didn't rule on it. He didn't even dig into it. And that, honestly, is terrifying because it sets a dangerous precedent. Right now, Justin's team has one last shot to fix this. They can amend their complaint before June 25th, but they have to be surgical. They can't rehash defamation. They can't scream extortion again. That's off the table. If they want to come for Blake again, it has to be razor focused on contracts, on how the evidence was obtained, or maybe abuse of process. But it's a minefield because if the judge feels they're piling on too many new claims, he could throw it all out again. Even worse, Blake's team is now talking about retaliating. They've made it crystal clear they want attorney's fees, treble damages, punitive penalties, the works. They're not just playing defense anymore, they're loading the cannons. And Justin's silence, deafening. No statement, no denial, nothing, just crickets. And you know Blake's people are using that to paint this as a total crushing defeat. The press, already running with the headline, Blake Lively vindicated, lawsuit dismissed, Justin Baldoni's case crumbles. And the online narrative? Brutal. People are calling him a sore loser. Others are saying he should have fought harder during production, that he gave Blake too much power, that he let her run the show and then cried about it later, which is unfair. Because if you look deeper, he tried to keep the film alive. He tried to avoid conflict. And when the drama got too big, he went the legal route, but the system failed him. Let's not forget, the judge literally said if her threats bothered you, you should have sued her back then. Like, bro, he's doing it now. How is that not enough? But make no mistake, this ruling doesn't clear anyone. It just says the claims weren't pled well enough. There's still smoke, there's still suspicion, and Hollywood doesn't forget. The next few weeks are critical. If Baldoni's team brings the heat, contracts, evidence, timelines, they might keep this alive. But if they drop the ball again, that's it. The industry will close ranks. The gossip will fade, and Blake will keep walking red carpets like nothing happened. So besties, what do you think? Is Blake innocent or just lucky? Was Justin sabotaged or sloppy? Are we watching a legal failure or the tip of a much darker iceberg? Let me know in the comments. And remember, this story ain't over.